sir, to this two-day stock taking. Are you unmuted?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw you were listening to some of the conversations yesterday, and you were with us from the morning at even before 10 a.m. And thank you so much for being here. Dr. Balhara is Additional Professor of Psychiatry with All India Institute of Medical Sciences. He specializes on something that we are concerned with, and that is his also prime concern with the behavioral disorder and addictions when children and young people spend time over the internet. So he will be mainly talking about listening to the conversation since yesterday and today. He'll be mainly talking about how do we go forward, because these 2 years, less than about 2 years, 18, 19 months has been a time where children and young people and their parents and teachers have faced a lot, and there has been a sea change. When we move forward, the schools are opening, children are going out, going back to the ways before the pandemic. Will it really be as it was before the pandemic, or things in the world have changed from psychological or psychiatric dimensions as so far as the child and the young person is concerned? So we'll listen to Dr. Yatan Balhara and how do we go forward on this. So over to you, Dr. Balhara, and for your wise and knowledgeable words. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ajayji. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to all of you for being here on a Sunday. This fact that we are here kind of highlights the value we put to this particular theme, this particular issue, and it's really encouraging to see. Since yesterday I could attend a few sessions, and since morning I'm here. SHICAA has been able to kind of generate this interest from diverse stakeholders, people from different backgrounds, from medical sciences, engineering, computer sciences, advocates, people who are working at ground with the adolescents and young adults, and then even bigger organizations who are kind of trying to create resources which we can put into use. We also had representation from some of the social media platforms yesterday as well. So this probably is what we need going ahead. If I were to kind of sum up, and actually I'll come to this statement at the end of my presentation as well. I've just put a word collaboration there, and that I believe is the key word that we need to kind of take along with us and then work on that and find ways to build on that collaboration. I personally believe this is a great beginning, although it's a taking stock of what has been happening over the past year or so with regards to this platform. But I think this is a great chapter that we have started, and hopefully we'll be able to take it forward by contributing to it in our own capacities. Now, again, the challenge that I face is that since there are people from diverse expertise and backgrounds, so I think everything has already been said. So I won't be boring you. I won't be kind of spending your time looking through lots of slides. I have prepared just a few slides, maybe 6 or 7 slides. And I'll just focus on one particular component of this whole scheme of things. Now, we remember that the children and adolescents and even young adults are the kind of end target populations for us, because that's the point of concern that we all have, and that's where we probably want to bring in the change. That's where probably the things will change and change will happen, and we'll see the benefits of our interventions there. But there are 2 other key stakeholders, in my opinion, who are the teachers and the parents, and they play a very crucial role. And I'll just focus on a few issues on that particular part. Rest assured, I won't take long, maybe 10 minutes, and then I'll stop. So I'll begin with the rhetorical question that I have put there. Why parents and teachers? We all know the answer. I mean, there is no two ways about it, that why teachers and parents should be engaged with in this process. There are many reasons. I mean, I need not even say so. But just to kind of re-emphasize that when we are planning to build on our initiatives, we must take these two set of stakeholders together with us at different stages, right from the beginning. I would say so, because these are the people who are with the children and adolescents for a long time of the day. These are the people who are concerned about the good of this population, the children and adolescents. They have genuine interest in their well-being and their safety. They are in a position to deliver whatever we intend to take to the adolescents and children and young adults. Teachers and parents actually are in a position, they can be our valuable partners in taking it to the end user, so to say. And I mean, I would say that they stand to gain a lot. While we always say that if we ensure safety of internet, if we ensure healthy use of internet, ultimately children, adolescents, young adults, they will benefit. But I believe that even teachers and parents stand to gain a lot. And that is what I'm saying from my experience from our clinic at AIIMS, Behavioral Addictions Clinic, as well as my interaction with the teachers, the students in different schools where we tend to go and we talk about this theme. This is a major concern. Maybe people are still recognizing the importance of this theme, but at least my experience says that when we interact with parents and teachers, this is one topic that always comes into the conversation in one way or the other. And it impacts the studies, it impacts their emotional health, the children and adolescents' emotional health. It impacts their career prospects going ahead. And it impacts their overall interaction with the people around them, not just their peer group, but even elders and younger people to them. So parents and teachers also have a lot at stake. So that's the reason why I put this slide always why. And we just need to reiterate that they are important stakeholders and we must not miss them whenever we are talking about this. Now, again, I think Ms. Sonali told in her presentation that they found quite a large proportion of respondents in one of their surveys. They were actually aware of some of the key online safety related issues. And I would concur with that observation, because these days, parents or teachers, they know quite a bit. Uh, uh, it, at this point in time, I won't say that they are not aware of the issue. They are, maybe not to the extent and the way we would like them to, because there are still some deficits in terms of the knowledge that they have. And that becomes evident when we kind of see these children, adolescents, young adults in our clinic. Usually when they come to us for help, it's after a gap, that lag phase between the onset of the problem and the parents seeking help. That delay is significant, that's enormous. Usually they present to us when the problems have reached a very significant level. Maybe if I have to quote some examples, we tend to get cases where the student has been kind of literally failed a final exam. In some cases, they have been kind of removed from the colleges that they were attending because they could not take the classes. They were busy with their gadgets and internet. At times, there are even cases of physical violence against parents. So usually what we see is when things get really out of hand and things get really bad. So I personally believe that there are a few things that parents and teachers must be aware of. And again, this is based on multiple studies that we have carried out over the last 2 years or so. We have tried to explore the gaming behavior of students. We have tried to explore the social media use patterns. We have tried to explore the OTT platform usage patterns. And we have published these findings, but I won't kind of tell you the results and take your time with that. The key themes that I believe that we need to focus on when we talk about internet, its safety, its healthy use with parents and teachers is that we must emphasize that it's a major concern. Uh, it may seem a very innocuous, a very mild kind of a thing, something that most of the people around us are engaged in terms of using it, technology. But we need to emphasize that when things go wrong, they go wrong in a big way, and the consequences can be very significant. And many times the consequences are not short lasting. These consequences, they might not be kind of rectified completely despite of interventions, and the the child or the adolescent, they might have to live with the consequences for rest of their lives in certain cases. So it is a major concern. It's just not something that happens with some people. It's something that can potentially happen with many people around us, and both the parents and teachers, they should kind of spend more time on this theme. Why I say so is that the teachers, the schools are getting aware on this theme, and that's why they invite us and others, other experts, and they have these lectures and sessions and presentations. But I kind of see that most of the times these are only standalone initiatives. There may be one lecture or one interactive workshop that happens once a year. But given the fact that internet is there with adolescents and children throughout the year, and they're spending time with internet and gadgets at least a few hours every day at this point in time, uh, it has to be a more continuous or a more concerted kind of an effort where we keep engaging these students, these children and adolescents on an ongoing basis, and not just something that happens as a knee-jerk reaction to some media news that comes up, that there was this group in a school that they found out they were sharing some objectionable picture of somebody, and then the school, they respond and they hold one lecture. I think we need to move beyond that approach now. We need to move in the direction of kind of making it part of the curriculum in some way or the other, so that this is there. Every child kind of learns these things. That's very important. Second point, what we need to emphasize is, I think Mr. Tejwinder in one of his slides very well depicted that there are multiple safety related issues. At times we kind of restrict ourselves with kind of cyberbullying or maybe stalking, and we couple of more words. But if you kind of recollect what his slide showed was, I think it was full of terms, and there are multiple safety related concerns that children are faced with when they are using internet. And the same is true for health related issues as well. Gaming disorder is a reality today. It's not just a fiction. People using internet in a excessive and problematic manner is again a reality today. There are kids around us who are kind of using social media in ways that is not healthy. It is not good for their psychological health. Our interaction with technology can have adverse physical health consequences as well. I mean, in some cases, it can even have legal consequences. So there are multiple issues, and we need to focus on all of them. We cannot restrict ourselves to maybe a couple of issues and then kind of put others under the carpet. We need to have a overarching approach that is comprehensive and takes into consideration all the themes and issues that are at hand. Then another important point that I would like to emphasize is, many times we make this error of kind of judging whether there is a problem or not by the time the children and adolescents they are spending using gadgets and internet. Yes, I agree. That's a very valuable marker, because if you are spending more time doing something, chances are there might be a problem. The kind of probability and possibility it goes up. But please remember, we have seen cases where the time spent using internet, mobile devices might not be too much or too long, but still there can be problems. The child may not be able to use internet excessively for long duration of time because there are constraints when he or she has access to mobile phone. But it's just not the amount of time you are spending, it's more of the purpose, the reason, the activities you are engaging in. So it's more comprehensive rather than just being the time that should be the concern. So when we kind of interact with parents and teachers and even the children and adolescents, we should not just talk about how much time you spend, we should also talk about age appropriateness of the use of different apps, context appropriateness, the purpose behind using it, what you are trying to achieve doing it. Is it a means of connecting with people, or is it a means of kind of gratifying yourself, or is it a means of kind of validating your existence? So that also is very important, and we must not ignore that dimension. Finally, another point that we need to emphasize a lot is this, I would say now, one thing that we have observed across all our studies is that we need to kind of see what kind of screen time the children and adolescents they are engaged in. Multiple studies that we have done, they have shown that recreational screen time is qualitatively a different concept as compared to educational screen time. So many times parents and teachers, they come up with this concern that now even classes are online. And I believe that even going ahead, there might be times when there will be online events and classes happening for the students. But we have observed, and there is literature beyond our studies as well that has shown that educational screen time is not same as recreational screen time. So recreational screen time can potentially lead to addiction, problematic use, excessive use, but we have not seen that with educational screen time. Yes, if you look at a screen for long periods of time, you can have eye strain, dry eye, but those pain in your back, pain in your neck, if your posture is not correct, but those are the issues which you can correct by taking some simple steps. So we should not kind of hesitate while we kind of recommend use of technology for educational activities, and we need to kind of demarcate the kind of screen time that we're talking about. So that should also be one of the focuses. We should not just club everything together and kind of put everything in the same basket. We need to treat different purposes, different reasons behind screen time differently, because the consequences, the repercussions are very different. Now, again, in terms of what teachers and parents are doing, they are doing quite a bit. If you ask me, over the last few years, at least 5-6 years now, I have seen a change. I've seen a significant change, both in terms of the attitude of parents and teachers and their approach as well. And there were times when they would challenge that how internet addiction can even be a word. Addiction happens to things like drugs and alcohol and cigarettes. How you can put these things together in the same sentence. But now that acceptance has come in, also this attitude of seeking help when there is need, that has also come in. But again, I would say this approach or our response has to be on an ongoing basis. It should not be simply holding one lecture once a year and then kind of forgetting it till the next year. That should not be there. Second, as parents, they need to be more engaged and involved in the digital life of their children. There is nothing wrong in knowing what your children are accessing over mobile phones and internet, because there is something called as age appropriateness of doing an activity or a behavior from the safety perspective as well as from the health perspective. So parents, they need to be more involved and engaged, not as an adversary and not as a person who is there to kind of oppose whatever the child is going to say, but as a partner in the process. So that again is very important. Also, we need to look beyond imparting knowledge. Of course, I'm not saying that knowledge is not important. Knowledge is the beginning of bringing in the change. And we must educate all the relevant stakeholders on the importance of this theme. What are the different dimensions? What are the concerns? What are the consequences? But simply telling is not good enough, in my opinion. We need to focus on building skills and bringing in a change in the attitude. Because the way I look at things is that internet gadgets is something that most of the people, as we go ahead in our lives, they are going to use them at some point in their time. Some may be using it less, others might use it more. So we can't imagine there will be a situation where we will be able to tell that let's remove smartphones from our lives, or let's shut down the button for internet if there is one somewhere. That's not going to work. So our focus is should be on helping children and adolescents learn the skills and develop an attitude of living with internet and gadgets in a safe and healthy way. So besides knowledge, we must look at skills and attitude. And I could see many presenters, they talked about that. They talked about the interventions that they are developing, the bots that they are creating, the steps that social media platforms they are taking. Ms. Sonali also shared what they are proposing to do in terms of building that TQ that she talked about, that concept that she introduced. So we need to focus on that as well. We at our clinic have also created something in this direction. We have very recently concluded a brief study on this as well. So we have developed this intervention, an e-health intervention for gaming disorder. This again is targeted at students. This is a project that we did with Indian Council of Medical Research. They have provided us the funding for this. This is a simple online intervention, has 4 modules, which introduces them to the concept of addiction, addiction to internet, gaming, and things like that. Basics of what this is actually. Differentiating between gaming and gaming disorder. What are the myths around this topic? But rather than giving them just the knowledge, it gives them some skills as well. For example, this 3rd module, it kind of talks about and teaches them how they can screen themselves for possibility of gaming disorder, how they can pick up if there is an indicator of them having any gaming disorder. And finally, the final module talks about what are the self-help interventions that the students can engage in to reduce the risk of having gaming disorder, and what they can do if they think either they or somebody that they know of kind of develops some kind of problems related to gaming disorder. So this is freely available. You are most welcome to visit our website and have a look there. And as I started, this is the key word going ahead. SHICAA is, in my personal opinion, is a great platform. Probably, as far as I know, the only one that attracts people from diverse backgrounds, diverse expertise, who are willing to come together and share their work. And I think now is the time that when we move ahead, we plan activities together, we collaborate on the areas that are of mutual interest to us, so that we can bring in a sustained change at a much larger scale. So with that, I'll stop. I once again thank Ajay ji for his never ending and never tiring efforts, and especially thanking him for inviting me to share my thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Balhara. It was nice listening to you, and your ending words kind of, which is an advice for all of us, all of you present here, and for all those who would be listening to this video later on YouTube and other platforms. Dr. Balhara and Behavioral Addictions Clinic, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, is also a founding member of this alliance, SHICAA. We started this whole journey with SHICAA in 2019. And then during these COVID times, it was very rarely we could meet each other or have meetings in physical mode, but or even visiting each other's office, or visiting schools and institutions of mental health was kind of very limited. So, but now is the time we are kind of picking it up, and hopefully this should kind of interaction in physical mode will increase. We'll have more meetings, more sustained efforts, joint efforts, And this is also a call for more and more people to join. I think I hand over to Dheeraj now, who is